Morning all, Nimby here. This morning we're going to be tying a spruce fly. It's also known as a Godverson special. But spruce fly is the common name for it up here. I'm just going to be doing a full thread base to start off with, right down to the hook, right down to the barb here. Then a couple wraps to secure it in. Going back. There we go. It resembles a lot of governor patterns that are tied around the same time period, give or take. It's a good all-around fly. It's a very similar fly to a Royal Coachman in like a streamer format. Just gonna enjoy some tea here before we start. Yeah, that's good stuff. Just gonna adjust my camera just a bit, get this guy in the frame here. Hey K-Fish Pro, good to have you in, mate. Good morning to you. So we're gonna start off with swordtail. Beautiful feather. What a gorgeous feather. Look at that. I'm doing great, mate. Let's start my morning off with some spruce flies. This is a fairly common West Coast, well, micro or mini streamer, I suppose. Yeah, Happy New Year to you too, mate. Okay, so I like mine with a somewhat bushy tail here because they do get eaten up pretty quick. So a little more is better than a little less. Just gonna pull those off. I like to roll them. Kind of like I would a pheasant tail, to be honest. There we go. And I'm going to tie that in a decent length, so about our working body. You'll see everyone go from a gap height to a body length. Really depends on how far they're throwing those streamer wings out the back, which we'll be tying in later. Just going to get 3 wraps on that. Check to see how she's sitting. Oop, she's a little more on my side than your side. Let's get that squared away. She looked good on my side, but wow. Okay, one second. Might have to reseat that. She looked really good on my side though. Okay, so I'm just gonna try. Thank you. If pheasant peacock sword is a wonderful material, and I wish there was more flies that used it. To be honest, we don't really see it too often in our fly patterns. It throws light. It's got a really interesting movement to it. It's fairly robust for being peacock, like compared to other peacock fibers. Yeah, that's better than the last one. Okay, and I'm just gonna do loose wrap this up to the top just to create a little bit more thickness in the body. Alright, my bobbin holder's getting in my way. Let's try this again here. Oh yeah, I've made lots. They're a lot of fun. I just try to have like a set, I guess, idea for the streams, just so I have a fly ready and have materials ready. But I've done several streams here. I did one with Ewas where we just made up a random salmon streamer and got everyone in the stream just to pick the colors and the parts, and it ended up looking really good. There's a community post that has a picture of it if you're interested. I called it Ewa's Morning Coffee. Yeah, I should do that. I should do that more often, actually, just doing some random flies. Everyone likes them. They're just a little harder for me to set up because I don't have access to all my materials, so the way my tying area is set up when I'm filming, I got so many lights and the cameras and everything here that I can't get at a good bunch of my material. So I kind of got to get it out ahead of time, so it does make it a bit of a pain on my part. So anyway, we're going to do red for the main tag end of the body. I'm going to be using this kind of more brighter red antron. It's almost more like I use it in a lot of flies actually. It's more like a floss, but it's an antron. The traditional color is this one, which is a red, just straight up red wool. So we'll probably do one or two with the wool as well. I'm just going to use the antron first. But you can use red floss, you can use like really whatever turns your crank, as long as it's bright and red, because it's basically a hot spot like you have in a Coachman. But yeah, I got, what I'd like to do for rando fly things is to actually have, well, every fly tire that I know has like a waste basket that's, you know, things that they're keeping, cut-offs and all that, little leftover bits that, you know, are still have potential. And I'd like to tie some flies with my waste basket and just go at it for whatever's in the waste basket and use up a bunch of that. I think that would be fun. Okay, so I'm tying in like the full yarn here because this is a bigger size. This fly is typically tied on size 6 through 12, so this is about as big as you're gonna see them. I mean, you can tie them bigger. Just this is your average, you know, size that you're gonna see these. The next one, sorry, brain shut off there. The next size that you're gonna see more commonly would be like in the 8s. 8 to 10 range is probably the most common you're going to see in the fly shop. I just need a little bit of material here. Don't need a lot, but I just need a little bit of wire for a counter rib. And I got a bunch kicking around on my desk here from the last couple flies we're tying, so there we go. That'll work. I'm not going to tie it in yet. We're going to get this red body in here first, and then I'll tie it in. Okay, so I'm going to go overway here. Oh, 1 second, a little too close to the tail there. I'm going to have to go underneath, I guess. Hey Rob, how's it going, mate? Morning to you. Hopefully your work day is going well. Mine's not started yet, but it will. Trying not to interrupt that tail as bad as I am, but I think it looks okay. So I'm gonna leave it. You could flatten this out like a floss. I've seen quite a few tires do that. We basically want to go to the half shank on the hook here, which is right about here. I'm gonna do one extra wrap past that so that we can back wrap it a little bit with the peacock. And this is where we tie our wire in after this. The wire isn't actually part of the original pattern, it's just a good idea since there's so much peacock on this. And most flies with a red tag like this are gonna get hit pretty hard. So the wire will just give it a little more durability up in the thorax area. Morning, Muddy. Morning, K-Fish and Robert. Good to have you guys in, mate. And thanks for staying a member there, Rob. I meant to mention that last stream. I really do appreciate that. I need to get more member stuff built up, and that's going to be part of my goal for 2026 is getting some more member content built up. But I do appreciate you being a member. Hey, there you go. That's okay. I'm the same way. I live outside cell service. Oh, I appreciate that, Rob. Good luck at the thrift store, mate. Remember to keep your mind open on materials. It doesn't have to be fly tying material to be fly tying material. That is for sure. Check out the crafting area, check out the yarns, check out the wool, check out old sweaters. I always have a look, like if you can find yourself an old fur coat and you're laughing all the way to the bank. I appreciate that, Rob. I really do, to be honest. I'm not doing this for the money, everyone knows that, but a little bit helps me keep the channel moving ahead and, you know, doing giveaways and paying for postage and such. I do appreciate it, I really do. Okay, so the next part we're going to do in is some peacock hurl. It's a fairly dense body, so I'm going to go with 3 hurls. It's not very big, but we want a nice fluffy thorax there to kind of hold up the wing that we're going to put in next. Boop. I got 3 or 4 there. I have 4. 1 second. One of you is not like the other. There. I mean, I could have kept it at 4. Honestly, I could probably do this fine with 2, but we're going to go with 3 because I want a nice bushy. Okay, so when you're stripping peacock, just use your nail. Run it along the tip of the peacock. Ooh, that one broke really early. But they'll break at their most brittle point. And sometimes it's a lot higher than what you expect. And then you want to cut back. And the reason you want to do that is because it's better that it breaks in your fingers before you tie it on than it breaks on your fly. Because it's going to break where it's going to break. Like I said, most of the time you can kind of gauge where that's going to be, but sometimes it surprises you and it's way up top. And then you can either know to toss that piece and get a new one, or just tie it in short, depending on the fly you're doing. Alright, so we got our peacock tied in. This fly's cooking along pretty good this morning. I'm gonna grab some more tea though. Rob reminded me, I friggin' love thrifting. You can still hear me, Rob. Good luck, man. Thrifting is an awesome hobby. Rocking the new shirt the wife got me. One dad to rule them all. Yes, we're huge Lotro fans. Hey Valhalla, good to see you, mate. I'm gonna be hopefully sending out your flies either today or tomorrow, since the post office is open again. Actually, what I'm gonna do is bring my thread up and just leave it right at the point that I'm wrapping, and that will keep the peacock from spreading as much. I want a nice, thick, yeah, it's called a spruce fly. It's a very common West Coast, like, mini streamer. It's almost like a, a lot of people don't say this, but in my opinion, it's a lot like a royal coachman. But you have a lot of people refer this fly to a governor fly. You trying to catch the star? Here, I can spawn another star. Can I? Yes, I can. Alright, there we go. Here, I'll put a couple in there for you. You do get points for it. I don't really have anything set up for you guys to spend points, but there's a whole feature in there that's like a store where you can spend your points on, you know, hats or different things. I don't know if I'm ever gonna go that far, but it does keep track of your points. So, okay, so we're wrapping it that way. So we're gonna be, yeah, there you go. Good job, Bella. So I'm gonna wrap this the other direction from my peacock. This isn't part of the original pattern, but this does add a large amount of durability to the top of the head. I seen that. Good job, mate. Alright. And yeah, the copper wire here just really adds durability. I like to throw it into a lot of patterns that have peacock, just because the peacock gets so bitten up. Rob's AFK, I think, so if he doesn't say hi, he's not being rude. Okay, I'm just going to pull that back and forward and back again. And we'll helicopter that out. Come on, there we go. I might have enough on there to do one more. There we go. Beautiful little red, and sort of made actually a good Christmas pattern, to be honest. Didn't really think about that till just now. Okay, and I'm gonna tie in the wings now. So for the wings, it uses a max. Yeah, everyone drop a like, and if you're new here, you can subscribe. We're here almost every morning. Got a really good crew to hang out with if you want to enjoy your morning coffee or tea with some fly tying. And if you want to learn about fly tying or fly fishing, or you have any comments, questions, accusations about life, that is what we're here to help with. So we want the wings to end just a little bit past the tail. And these ones are actually a little bit on the big side, to be honest. Oh, we did? I wasn't sure. Oh, I'd sub him twice if I could. He's so close, though. Yeah, come on, guys. If there's anyone in the chat that doesn't have K-Fish sub, just drop him a sub. He's been really irking to get some live streaming going. I don't blame him. These guys are a little big, actually. One second. I thought they'd actually work well for us. They're a beautiful pair of speckled um, badger hackle. But now that I'm looking at them, I think they might be a little robust for our... I'm just going to match these up and just have a look at them. Yeah, you know what? What do you guys think? You think that's too big? I think it's okay, but it's a little bit on the chunky side. Here, let me grab some. I'm going to grab two smaller ones here. They're not smaller, but... I'm just going to grab these two. One of them's damaged, but... just for size reference, you guys can tell me which one you think looks better. Okay. That's probably closer to like the size that it should be. What do you guys think? You like the first one or second here? I'm just gonna single feather the second so you get a better one. I really wanted to use these kind of heavier ones, but you can see the two here. One's a little on the thicker side, but I like the heavy dark band on it. You know what? I think we'll go with... I think we'll go with the heavy band on this one, and then we'll do the light band on the second one. How's that? And then we can compare them as a fly. That'll probably work better anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to line these back up. And for lining up feathers, I typically find it's better to just line the tips of the feathers up and then pin it. So you get the tips lined up, and then when you pin it, you can maneuver the rest of the feather a lot easier. And they tend to kind of just follow each other once you get the tips together. So I'm going to pull this back. This is going to take a good bit of trimming because these are way longer than they need to be. So let's trim that off. There you go, retirement plans, right? Honestly, I think a blacksmith would be valuable almost anywhere, especially like if you go more third world because they need to fix and repair a lot more stuff. Okay, let's go a little bit more on either side of that. It's always better to leave some on and take more off after the fact, because you can't put it back on, but you can always take more off. Now I'm going to take more off the bottom on both, because we want it to lay a little bit flatter, and that generally helps. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I went with that. Take just a little more off the bottom and a little bit more off the top, and then we'll call it good. I'm being picky here. We really could have just tied this in and crushed it, and well, the only place I know that has those things, or does not have those things, is Antarctica. Oh, thank you, K-Fish. I appreciate that, mate. Yeah, there we go. That's going to look pretty. I just really wanted that kind of black shuck going out. That actually worked better than I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be a little on the big side, but once we trimmed her down, she's not so bad. I generally have to do a soft wrap to get these to lay straight, but we're going to try just tying it in, because this is behaving really well for me, for once. Hey, you know, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's right on the top. That's not bad. Oh, sorry to hear that, Rob. Yeah, that's always like, I always get like, whenever I get these weird days off that I shouldn't have, I'll always wake up in the middle, not in the middle of the night, but wake up like early or something, and then it's always like, should I be at work? Should I be at work? I should be at work. It's Thursday. Why am I, you know, like you're always kind of on edge when you get these weird extra days off around holidays and stuff. It's never like fully restful. Okay, and we left a, as you can tell up front, we left a good amount of space there because we're going to put some hackle in as well. One thing I've done with these, I'm not going to do on this one, but one thing you can do is you can do almost like a Mohican style. So when you leave like your wire, and then you can wrap part of the wing down. So just like, you can see how it's flopping there. You can just wrap just that one wrap in there, or even with your thread, and that'll hold the wire, or that'll hold the. Oh no. Okay, so we're just going to use this guy, which is a badger, but he's not a full badger. He's like, he wants to be a badger. And we'll clean that off. I wish 9 to 5 jobs really weren't a necessity in our society. I really, really do. Although for my whole life I've woken up and worked 9 to 5 jobs without any complaint or much complaint. But I will say that they mess with your psychology and everything else, and I don't think they're very good for you. However, most of my later work in life has been for... Yeah, if anyone's on here that hasn't subbed K-Fish, please drop over and sub them. I think everyone we got in the chat is already subbed them, but if you're watching and lurking and being quiet there, we'd all really appreciate it if you could pop over to K-Fish and give them a subscribe. If you need to make that easier on yourself, just let me know. I'll make you a mod momentarily, which will let you go over and subscribe to him easier. Okay? And if for some reason you think K-Fish Pro is a goof and you don't want to subscribe to him, that is your prerogative. You're just wrong. We would all appreciate it if you went and subscribed to him. There we go. Okay, so got that tied in. So similar hackle to what we're using for the top. And if you have a cape, like a badger cape, just grab a smaller one out. The hackle on this part's, I think so. I mean, I don't think we were ever designed to do what they do, you know. They add a lot of extra stress for no real reason. Like, you don't gain anything in the job, or the business doesn't gain anything for all those stressors. And it makes it, they make it like it's a necessity that you have to do these things. Thanks for shouting out, Val. I appreciate that. And Rob, you too. Why are you being a toot and you don't want to curl for me? Come on, curl. This also traditionally... Thread's a little closer. I'm just going to move it back a hair so I don't interrupt the wraps. Yeah, traditionally this fly has a fairly large head because it is tied like a mini streamer. But it is fish basically like a wet fly. This isn't supposed to keep it like above the water or anything. This is just to imitate some legs, give it some movement. It is just an attractor pattern though. It's not really imitating any specific bugs or what have you. It's 100% like an attractor pattern, like a royal coachman or what have you. Yeah, should I go for one more wrap? Yeah, I'll go for one more. I think I can make it. I got a few hackle bits popping forward here. Bink. I'll just cut them off. Alright. Gonna bring our thread up, catch that off. That wrapped pretty good. That's kind of exactly how I wanted it. You don't want it too thick and bushy. You want to be able to see through it. Like I said, it is just an attractor pattern that is not there to float the fly. Most of the time I'd strip this. These actually work good for just random trolling patterns. When I like on my canoe and I just want to drag something and just enjoy the scenery, I'll tie one of these on quite commonly because they're a little bit bigger and they're a little rougher tied, so they handle the being dragged around the lake a little better than, say, a royal coachman would. And they're a little on the bigger side. They have a little bit more red flash, so I find they work really well for just a searching pattern for dragging something behind your canoe. Yeah, that size hackle actually worked really well for that. I'm quite happy. Yeah, so you want it just a little bit, about a quarter of your gap height longer than your gap past your point. And that's almost smack on perfect hackle height for that fly. I'm just gonna get a little bit of a thread head built up here, and then we'll put a drop of head cement on that. But overall, I'm really happy with that one. She turned out real nice. Really wonderful little traditional West Coast fly. As much as I love my classic flies, I have to say that a lot of classic flies that became famous or got people famous, they're not terribly different than other flies that were common at the time. You know, like this one looks a lot like a royal coachman, right? You got your front, you got your red, you got your green, you got a wing, and a hackle. So it's like, it's really similar. But, you know, is what it is. It's still different, and he got famous over the deal, so. I will admit that they do work differently too. Like I said, I would throw this over a coachman in a lot of cases where I need something that's going to be a bit stronger. And I'm going hopefully for a slightly bigger fish. Although I've gotten some pretty big fish on coachman too, so there's that. Yeah, she good looking. I'm happy with that. She good looking. Yeah, let's cut that off, get the head cemented up. I'll do my little spin and spiel, and we'll get the next one going. It's a fun little tie, actually. I quite enjoyed that. Yeah, I can't wait for you to get your 50 there K-fish so you can do some live streaming. It's a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoy live streaming. I really do. little much head cement there. I'm just going to thin it out a little bit. We don't need a whole lot. I don't want it to interrupt the hackle too much. Not that it's a dry fly. Thank you. Yeah, I was kind of humming and hawing. Well, y'all saw. I was kind of humming and hawing about whether I would be slightly too big for it, but it actually looks really good. I'm happy with that. I'm glad we went with the slightly oversized. It does give it that real nice. When that gets wet too, it'll pin down to the body. Like when you're stripping it through, it'll be more like this, and it'll have a nice flippy action in the water. It'll flutter like that, which drives the fish nuts. But it's sitting like smack on, like perfect on top, which is great. It's actually kind of difficult sometimes to get these guys to sit proper, especially depending on the area of the cape. Like this one came from, let me grab it for you here. This one came from like some strung hackle. So typically with strung hackle, it almost always comes from the side of your cape. Sorry, gonna go on a little tangent here. Throw some knowledge your guys' way again. So here's a badger cape. This one's a lighter side of the badger, but you can still see it's badger. So your strung hackles are the ones that get cut off here. So this part that's missing, these are the ones that end up in your strung hackles. So this whole section here, when it gets trimmed, that's where your strung hackles come from. Now, the up and down side of that is they're always, so they're like a waste product of making a cape. But the issue with that is if I grab one of these out, I'm just going to pull one out just so you can see. Doesn't matter which one, we're just going to grab one off the side. So again, this would be just before where the strung hackles are coming from, but same idea. Just trying to get one without getting like 6. Come on, boy. Alright. Well, she broke, but that's okay. Not tying with it, just demonstrating. Okay, so this is from, plop that down here. So this can be an advantage and a disadvantage, but you have your cape. Okay, we pulled it from this side of the cape. You can see all the feathers have a very slight curve going back up to the center, going this way. And then the feathers are straighter in the center, going up the back. So generally your best feathers are going to be all these ones right in here on a cape. And they're not going to be the ones typically you're going to find on bulk or strung. So when you buy strung hackle, they almost always have a drastic curve. Like you see how much this one's curving? Now you can use that to your advantage and to your disadvantage. Because if you wanted a wing, if you cup 2 of these together and you wanted a wing that cups down, you could grab a left and a right one. You'd have to dig through your strung hackle, but you'll find them because they'll be coming off both sides of a skin. But you can see how much this curves down compared to this one here, which was a center one, and it's nice and straight. So just keep that in mind if you're buying strung hackle and you're wrapping or having problems with it. You can just see how much of a curve this has on it. There's things that you can use that curve to your advantage, but with a lot of tying, that curve is just going to cause you a pain in the butt. So just be mindful that it's there while you're digging through your bulk hackle. And yeah, that'll help you guys with getting a nice wing, because really for over wings like that, got the borax tan all over my nice shirt. There we go. But yeah, that'll help you guys with that. So we'll do our spin and spiel for this fly here. This is the Spruce Fly, also just called the Spruce, and also called the Godfrey. or Godfrey Special is another name for it, because Godfrey was the one that kind of originally tied it, or at least made it famous anyway. And he's pretty famous for a number of different flies. He did write a small book that was published in around the Spokane, Washington area, and he was part of a number of fly fishing, fly tying guilds there back in the day. So I'll do a spin and spiel on this guy. So that's a Spruce Fly. It's tied on a size 6 Aberdeen hook. It's basically a mini streamer. It has a peacock a peacock sword tail, and a red wool. In this case, it is an sorry, I'm gonna start that over. Really mucked up the material selection. Blah. Okay, let's have some tea again. Sorry, guys. It's always nice if I can even remotely nail it, so I don't have to do a bunch of editing. There we have a Spruce Fly, also called the Godfrey Special. This was tied on a size 6 Aberdeen streamer hook. It's basically a mini streamer. It has a peacock sword tail, a red acrylic yarn body, a peacock hurl thorax that is ribbed with some copper wire, a badger wing, 2 of them tied back to back, and a badger hackle up front. Wonderful searching pattern. I really enjoy trolling this on my canoe. Just find that it seems to get more results than, say, a coachman or something a bit on the smaller side. Really seems to wake things up, and it's a little bit more durable than other attractor patterns like that as well. And it's just fun to use peacock sword. Beautiful little fly. Fun little tie. Add a couple to your box, eh? There we go. Sorry, guys. Well, it's morning. What are you gonna do? Hey, Trips, good to have you back, mate. Hey, Water Fox came back in, too. Good to have you in, Water Fox. Hey, wee man. Got a bunch of people jumping in good and just in time for a second fly on. We're doing the Spruce Fly today. Would be cool if this had moose on it, then I could do a Springfield reference for the spruce moose. Well, here we go. Got our Aberdeen streamer hook in. You can tie these on regular too. Just gets a little bit on the tight side with materials, but you can definitely tie these on a standard hook. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. I really appreciate it. It's good to have you all in here in the morning. Okay, we're just going to get our thread base tied in. I'm going to leave this part bare here so we don't build up too much of a head. Just more of a visual cue for myself, really, to leave room for the wing and the hackle area. I hear Valhalla is getting some orders in, so that's cool. Yeah, I was actually thinking of different things you could do up Valhalla for... Yeah, we got all the crew in this morning. So we're going to use this beautiful, look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Peacock sword. Such a nice feather. I wish they were double-sided, like they're not as iridescent on the backside, but man, is that ever a neat feather, eh? So we're going to take a good bit. Like I said, they get beat up. the base or the body of the sword fronds are. Yeah, that was me. I was actually just going to talk about that before I got sidetracked with the feather here. Give me a second, I'll get back to it. So I want, like, if I can do this loosely, I want loosely basically the width of the gap there. I'm just pulling this out a little bit so we can get the tips, because there is a curve to it, get the tips to be somewhat together, and then we'll pull them off. There we go. Now, because this is like dull on the one side, like I was showing you, and shiny on the other, I like to do what's called a roll or a fold on them. It helps a little bit, but I mean, it's not super necessary. I'm doing this with my wrong hand, so you just have to excuse me, but basically you just wet your fingers a little bit so it'll stick slightly, and then as you're pulling it together or pushing away from yourself, you just close it up, and then you kind of pack it like a snowball. And what that'll do is that'll get the nicer, shinier side on the outside where everyone sees it, so you don't end up with one side of your fly nice and shiny and the other side of your fly green and beautiful. It helps anyway. It's no guarantee, but it does help. So now both sides of that are looking more even. Okay, we're going to tie that in the working length of the body, which is my thread base. Back, so we got a good sized little tail. And the bottom fronds on this stuff is actually like incredibly durable and slippy, almost like squirrel. It's a little bit crazy how it's almost like a plastic. It doesn't compress very well at all. Thankfully, it does have the fronds on it, so it helps it to be a little more grippy that way. But it's an interesting material in that it doesn't like to compress very well. But we're going to tie it in on our body here. There we go. This tail just looks so good too, like in the water when it's moving around. It looks just like a small baitfish dorsal fin or rear fin. Okay, we're going to tie that in all the way up the body, just loosely here. I am going to grab it and try and two-hander here. See how lucky I get. And we're just doing this to build the body. As I said, this stuff is incredibly, compared to the other feathers on a peacock, it is incredibly durable. Only compared to other feathers. There's much more durable material. But peacock is well known for being brittle. Alright, now we're going to tie in our body, which is going to be this red yarn. I'm not sure if I have enough there, actually. I better cut another piece. That looks like it's going to be a hair too short. Just too bad. This is an keep saying antron. You need to carry a big stick. I haven't seen any squirrels here in a bit. I think because we had that cold snap, got down to -28, they all went and boshed up and threw their hibernation in gear. But then it warmed up again. Now we're down to like -6 or so. It's been such a flippy weather pattern lately. And it was weird because we, for the skunks, yeah. We get skunks here too, but thankfully, not very commonly. I've only had to deal with a handful of them the whole time we've been here. But they're here, and you'll know it. Unfortunately, when they get hit on the road, they make a giant mess too, don't they? a cool little creature, though. I don't wish them any harm. Like I said, I've been here a good while, and I've never had a problem with them. So as long as they stay to themselves and I stay to myself, they can be as stinky as they want to be. Yeah, I use the Queen Celsius, not the American Freedom units. Which is weird, because like I grew up with both, and like in Canada we use them for different things, or at least when I was younger we did. It's a little bit more just on the Celsius end of things now, but like for instance we'll use Fahrenheit for like our own body temperature because it's closer to 100, right? So you'll typically have like your doctor, whoever's taking your temperature, will give it to you in Fahrenheit, and then for outside temperatures we'll use Celsius, or some people will use Fahrenheit too, but yeah, I think gray and the other, I think it's still a gray squirrel, but the black ones, I think it's just a variation on the gray squirrel. They come from UK, England, and that, don't they? Because they're not native to North America, as far as I know. But I want to say they came from like Britain, England. Could be wrong. That's just what my brain's telling me at this time. So we're gonna tie this red up now. I really, really, really like this yarn. Just gives such a nice like red luster, and it's incredibly durable. You're in Canada? Hey, there you go. Man. What part of Canada are you from? I'm interior BC. Is it the opposite, that the red came from Britain? Really? I think the red's got to be native here, no? I don't know, it's been a while since I've looked up my hunting regs on little guys like that, but... Hey, cool! Good to have you in, Fox. Got another BC homie. Enjoy the warehouse. Best of luck, Robert. Find some treasures for us, eh? If you find anything good, post it for me. I love friggin' thrifting. I want to see your treasures. Really? Okay. I'll have to look that up later. Honestly, I can't remember off the top of my head what's what. I was pretty sure that the grays and the blacks were an invasive species technically, because I know they're upset about them. They've taken over a lot of the universities. Same with rabbits. But a lot of the universities here are overwhelmed with gray squirrel and rabbits, just everywhere. To the point of causing a lot of structural problems and pathways and all sorts of things. Yeah, that's cool, Water Fox. I always like locals, or as local as being in the same province gets, since we have people from all over the world that pop in here. I actually have a really fairly decent following of Russians and Indians. Which is cool. Yeah, I think that's kind of what's going on, is like if the grays get into an area, then they're kind of like not getting out. I think that's the problem with most populations. They just like you said, outbreed them, take all the food. They're a bigger, as far as I can tell from seeing what they're doing. They're bigger, they're more robust. They probably handle the cold better, being that they're just a larger animal. They can put on more fat stores. And they seem to just be, well, I wouldn't say energetic's probably the wrong word. Oh, I'm sorry, Valhalla. Yeah, I got on that tangent and my brain shut off and I started talking feathers, but you know that's me, right? Not that I've ever done that before. Oh, shoot. I'm even getting the wrong thing. 1 second, Valhalla. Be right with you. I tied in the wrong thing here. We need to get some copper rib going before I forget what I'm doing. Yeah, so fire starters. I was just sitting there kind of daydreaming at work, thinking of different things that you could do, because I know you're trying to get more of a business aspect to your smithing going. And unfortunately, a lot of times what works well in business isn't what works well with our passion. Like, for instance, if I was going to make decent money doing this, I'd have to tie a lot of stuff that I necessarily don't want to tie every day, but it sells well and it's economical, and I can tie, you know, hundreds of them in a day. And that's typically what most people do. So I was thinking about that with your aspects and aspirations, and I know before I said fire starters were a thing, and I know there's a limited market to that kind of thing, but if you're still hanging out at the, I want to say Renaissance Fair, but you know what I mean. It's not a Renaissance Fair, but the reenactments and that. I think that kind of thing would sell well, because everyone wants, not only is it like a useful item, but it's a fun item, right? Like, everyone wants to start a fire with some flint and steel. If you can manage to source some flint or even quartz, I use quartz myself because it's just easy and abundant here. It's everywhere. I can walk down my driveway and find a good piece of quartz and start a fire with it. And I actually did for the kids' school, I did a demonstration on how to start a fire, and I had the kids actually go out and just pick up rocks in the driveway, and then I was able to start a fire with one of the rocks that they picked out of the ditch, and within like a couple strikes too. Thankfully, it was honestly a bit of a fluke, because it's a lot harder to do than a lot of people realize. Well, there you go. Yeah, if you can get actual flint, it does work better. It'll throw a much hotter spark than quartz will. Quartz is just super abundant here, so I generally teach people to start fires with quartz, just because we do have some flint and some other rocks that'll work around here, but they're way harder to find, and you really have to really look for them and know what you're looking for. But everyone can find a piece of quartz, right? So quartz it was, but I did manage to start a fire for all the kids within a couple strikes, and that was fun. And then all the kids got to play around and do it. And sorry, I'm just going to continue on my tangent because it's not really 100% related to what my thought process was, but it is still related. So what I was thinking is, it's a sad reality that, you know, we don't always get to do what we're passionate about necessarily if it's productive. And I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but I do know that people like to make fire, and it has to be at the couple things it has to be really is it has to be at a price point that someone's willing to part with their money for and not be upset about. So you're generally going to have to start in the $10, $15, $20 range. And the benefit of that too is it's generally going to be something that you're not going to spend a whole lot of time on. You might be able to pound out, say, 10 or 20 of them in an hour. So if you're pounding out 10 or 20 of them in an hour, you know, give or take, of course, you know, with your time and everything else, right? I don't know if you could actually make one of them in, you know, half dozen of them or so in an hour or not, but just as an example. So try not to drop this. That's where you can start making a good product and a profitable product, is when you can make something that you can whip off a good amount of them in a time frame that people are willing to part with their money for, you know, for that fun aspect of whatever it is. Oh, I bet you do. Yeah, and there's so many good apps that you can do to help with your small business ideas and stuff. I don't really get into any of that. I really should though, because they're handy. I don't have any to recommend. We all hear the same ads for, you know, Odoo or whatever app is punching us all the ads in the algorithm at the time. Trying to remember which direction I was wrapping that. I think I was wrapping towards me. There we go. Yeah, and that's the thing is there's so many things you can make that will not only be useful for people, but will be something that someone's gonna. You gotta have something that they're willing to part with their cash for, right? So it's gotta be either useful, fun, or solve a problem for them. Like I said, I don't know if fire starters, that was just the first thing that popped in my head, because I know they're hard to come by. Like, get one that'll actually be tempered correctly to work. Is it a free one? I'm not familiar with Obsidian. But I think we've all seen Odoo commercials. Are just flooding all the social medias right now. Okay, so we're just gonna get that same wing feather going. How big did I make the last one? Where'd you go, buddy? Go past? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, the balance that you're looking for, and the item doesn't really matter, but the balance you're looking for is it's got to be something that you can get enough stock in that you're not going to run out, you know? So it can't be too rare. Really? God, my stream is full of Odoo stuff. I wonder how targeted those things are, if they're just like, you feel like everyone sees the same thing, but who knows. But yeah, you gotta be able to source your materials. See if I got that too long. No, it's not too bad. Maybe just a hair too long on the top here. Ooh, come on, buddy. I had you all nice and leveled out there. Yeah, I'm just gonna stream it back one more. I mean, smithing's a lot like, yeah, exactly. Like, fly tying's a lot like smithing in that way that your imagination is really the only thing limiting you for what kind of supplies you can use. That turned out pretty good. Yeah, she's nice and right on top. I like that. It's kind of actually really hard to get them to sit just perfectly on top like that. A lot of badger feathers have, like I was showing, have a wicked curve to them. Yeah, I don't know anything about Odoo. I haven't even looked at it. Just the constant commercial ads are almost enough to turn me off from using it, to be honest. They're just constantly sending junk my way. I need one more hackle feather. I thought I had one out here, but it either flew away or grew legs. Let's grab another one. Yeah, anyway, sorry, that was my thought process. I'm pretty much covered everything I want to cover on that, but... This one that just fell out of the pack is a really nice feather, but I think he's... Actually, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Just a hair longer, but... I think it's just a hair too long for this one. The 2 sizes too big. Now let's try and find another one out of here. I really like this kind of dirty badger hackle. Oh, that was a nice one, but it's damaged. Yeah, that'll work. These are beautiful, 2 beautiful capes. I got these from my fly tying mentor, actually, when he passed away. But they're a beautiful 33 subscribers. That's cool. Yeah, I'm in no rush. I do really enjoy the numbers. Like, my analytical brain just loves watching the numbers go up. But I don't try and do any of the weird hack your channel stuff, get more subscribers. Like, I could do tons of different things to get my numbers way higher than they are. But yeah, exactly. I know. Trust me, I know. It's really frustrating for me too. Another thing, like, I have a few friends that are blacksmiths, and one other thing that they make a lot of money off of is like hardware for drawer pulls and hooks and knobs and all that kind of stuff that have a really more rustic look to them. Hey, there you go. Yeah, no, I was thrilled when I got my first 100. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm really happy to hit the 1K mark. I mean, there's some older videos in there when I was moto vlogging. But the reason that they make, and that's kind of what got me thinking about that when I was at work, thinking about you and what you were making and everything. What they were making, the reason they were making those things is not only were they quick and easy to pound out, and they can pound out, you know, whatever, dozens of them, it doesn't matter. So whatever time they had, they could just continually make those, and it was easier for their process. But the other benefit of those things for them was that people buy random amounts, right? They might buy 2, they might buy 3, they might buy 24, you know, if they want to redo all the knobs on their kitchen, whatever, right? And they want that rustic hammered out look, and you get a lot of people looking for that kind of thing. So now it's a small item that's easy for people to purchase, but it's also one that some people might buy in bulk, right? So now you might have an order for 48 of them. And that's where you can save the money on the shipping and all that stuff. Where it's unlikely that someone buying a fire starter is going to buy 48 fire starters. They're going to buy one. Or same with like a lot of other things. Yeah, but even something like a door knocker. Yep, that's true. But even something like a door knocker, right? Like you're going to, typically you're only going to buy one. Maybe two because you have a back door, right? But like most people are going to buy one. If it's something like a hook to hang your coat, or like to make a pegboard, or kitchen stuff, or knobs for your drawer pulls or whatever, you're going to sell them for almost the same price. It's probably going to be an easier thing for you to make. And people are going to buy a half dozen or a dozen. So that's where my thought process was going. Yeah. And unfortunately, as much as we like to just, like I was saying, it takes the passion out of it a bit, but as much as we would like, that's just the way of things, right? There's not a lot you can do about that. I don't know if I'm gonna, if that last, yeah, I don't think that last wrap's gonna be helping me much there, so I'm just gonna back it up, but it's too bad. I really want to get that last wrap in. Yeah, and that's kind of the point, is it might not fill your heart with as much passion, but it'll get the bills paid until you can get started. And you know me, I'm all about the following your passion stuff, but that was my thought process anyway. Yeah, exactly, because you can get your stock, you can get it heated up, you can pound out a long bar that has all the, you know, the two metals meshed together, or however many metals you're meshing. This is being a little bit of a booger. It's not as nice as the last one. I'm gonna have to bury that last. I was just trying to get that last wrap, and I don't know if it actually did anything positive for me or not. I don't think it did. Now I got a lot of cleanup on the head to do. Probably should have just wrapped it back half a wrap, finished it on the other side. Cool. Yeah, if you have access, especially if you have access to something good for a handle like black walnut. Sourcing materials then is super important, because if you run out of material source, you can't really do a whole lot. So if you have a good source for stuff. Yeah, exactly. Okay, this is being rather annoying. I'm gonna see if I can get that over now. Alright. Just gonna try and throw a half hitch and pin. There's a couple fibers there. I don't necessarily want to get rid of them. I just want to pin them back, so I'm gonna try and pin them back with a half hitch. Yeah, at least your main source of material is easy to come by. You find like recycling, and I was actually talking to my son about this. Thank you, Water Fox. Always good, like I said, to have a local in here. Appreciate that. You have a good week, eh? Thanks for stopping in. Okay, just gonna do some whip finish. That'll help build their head up a little. Yeah, I had to kind of build a bigger head there than I did on the last one. Traditionally, this thing actually does have quite a large head on it, but ugh, come on, buddy. Try not to trap those fibers in there. There we go, that'll work. Yeah, sorry, brain saw the squirrel and went, shiny squirrel. What I was gonna ask is, I was talking to my son about, because he was asking like why Toyotas and some cars, rust out quicker than others. And I was telling him like, well, they're made in Japan, and by the way, I like Toyotas. I'm not knocking them or anything. Most of the vehicles I've ever driven were Toyotas. And I've rebuilt lots of them. But anyway, I was letting them know that Japan's an island, and they don't have much of any steel industry, and almost all of their steel is brought in from offshore. So that means it's generally recycled material. So your Toyota Tundra is going to be made out of old soup cans and railway ties and all sorts of stuff. And not that there's anything wrong with that, because I do think that recycling is real important. But obviously, if the metallurgy isn't done correctly and you're not mixing in enough fresh material, you'll end up with all the problems that Toyota has with rust and everything. And it is a legitimate problem. Every single Toyota I've had has rust out long before other vehicles. But mechanically, they're awesome. So we were just going over that. And I was just, at the time too, I was thinking about Valhalla, and I was just like, I wonder if he reuses a lot of stuff, and if he ever finds that the durability is different, or okay, gotcha. So you have like a lot of like round and square stock just kind of laying around? Yeah, it's a sad truth. If someone passes away, you can get a good deal on their stuff. I've definitely gotten a lot of really premium fly tying material from estate sales. Yeah, Swedish steel's really nice. I'm surprised Canada doesn't have more call for steel. And we do aluminum, obviously. That one turned out good. I'm happy with that. You see the top wing is just like smack on center. I'm happy with that. It's really hard to get that to do that. Not like it matters at all. Once you fish it, it's gonna go all over the place. And I wonder sometimes if it's just the metal coming out of the ground from Sweden or Germany or whatever you have, or if it's more to do with like the quality control, right? Because like in Japan's case, they don't have a choice, right? They have to use whatever they're bringing in. But it doesn't stop them from oh, that's good tea. Almost out. But it doesn't stop them from making a good product by, mixing in raw material with recycled material to whatever level they need to do. Nice. And like, I know it's a kind of sad and morbid reality, but I like to think that all those people, that have passed on, that were buying up their supplies, yeah, that's true. Viking, and a lot of Viking weapons actually came from the interior, from India and that area. Yeah, and I like to think that like when those people pass on and we're buying up their, whether it's materials or tools or possessions, that they'd like to see their stuff go to someone who's going to enjoy it and use it, right? And not just resell it or what have you. So it doesn't, even though it's a sad process to go through. I always think it's a necessary process because it gets the materials and the tools back in the hand of artisans and people that can use them for what they were, the whole purpose that they're on the earth for, right? There we go, we got our Spruce Fly. I'm not sure which one of the two I like better, to be honest. There's number 2 with the darker wing and the lighter wing. I think I kind of like the darker wing better, but it would depend on where I was fishing, I suppose. But it does seem to have a little bit more contrast to it. They're probably both useful in different scenarios. Alright, we'll do our spin and spiel here. And there we have a Spruce Fly. This is tied on a size 6 Aberdeen hook. It has a peacock sword tail, a red let's start over. We have a we have a Spruce Fly tied on a size 6 hook, Aberdeen. It has a peacock sword tail, a red yarn body, a peacock hurl thorax chased with some copper wire just for durability, a badger hackle wing, and a badger hackle up front. This is a wonderful little searching pattern. I love using it in my canoe if I just want to drag something and just search the area. It tends to get bigger fish and it tends to get more heavier hits than, say, dragging a Royal Coachman would. It's a wonderful little pattern. Add a couple to your box. Very traditional pattern that's still really useful today. It was originally tied by Godfrey. So a lot of times you'll see this listed as a Godfrey special, as opposed to a Spruce Fly, which is more of a West Coast term for it. Yeah, like I mean the vise I'm tying on was from a gentleman who had a really bad heart conditions and couldn't tie anymore, and I got it off him for, you know, pennies on the dollar for what it's worth. And I know he's happy that it's getting use. And a lot of the materials that I use are from people that have passed away, just because that's where we get our materials from at a reasonable dollar value. But I know that a lot of them would be, I like to think a lot of them would be, you know, proud that we are using their materials to create something. But yeah, there you go, that's a Spruce Fly. Hopefully everyone enjoyed that tying session this morning. Got our 2 set up here. Not sure which one I like better. I think I do like the dark band in the badger, but I also like the kind of dirtied speckle badger. I guess they both have their place, eh? Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up, make some breakfast, and get some more wood on the fire because I think it's gone out on me, or it's getting close to going out either way. So I just want to thank everyone for hanging out. Always good to have you guys in. Yoshi, welcome in, Yoshi. We're just finishing up. I'm sorry, mate. Yeah, good to have you in too, Valhalla. Wee man. I know Fox is gone. Trippy, if you're still here, good to have you in, mate. Water Fox, I know you're gone, but good luck. Robert, I know you're gone, but thanks for coming out. Am I missing anyone here? I think we got everyone. Yeah, I just realized as I was scrolling up that Yoshi was here. My bad, Yoshi. K-Fish Pro, if he's still hanging out. I think I got everyone. Yeah, it was a pleasure having you all, and thanks for spending your morning with me. Means a lot. You guys have a good morning.